Here's some of the best advice I can give for anybody who's in your early 20s starting over wanting to make six figures. Is the best industry to get into is sales. It's one of the only industries you can get in without an extensive background, lots of experience, and make hundreds of thousands of dollars. Also, it's a perfect industry for those that have work ethic, they have dedication, and they have a growth mindset. I don't know how many young people come through my office and they make this mistake of sitting and watching TikTok reels and Instagram of all these young teenagers and 20-year-olds that may or may not, I don't know if it's true, I'm sure some of it is true, that get rich by buying some meme coin or Bitcoin or some overnight success story. Here's the truth. What do you need to chase your dreams? You need money. Do not leave a job that's paying you $100,000+ a year because you're bored. Realize that success is boring. To be successful, you have to do shit you don't want to do on the days you don't want to do it. That's also called being a fucking grown-up and an adult. So if you're starting over, if you're early in your career, get into sales and then find a mentor that has what you want and then take direction. The best way to get to a destination the fastest is to ask for directions from somebody who's already been there and is walking back. Find somebody you look up to. Find somebody that has the characteristics, the qualities, the core values, the standards that you have or that you want to aspire to be. And then don't overcomplicate it. So often in life, we make shit so complicated. Like I always thought things had to be harder. Part of that was a limiting belief I had, that I thought that making money had to be really difficult. I thought that my life needed to be really difficult, so I felt like I earned it. I didn't feel like things should be easy for me. I didn't feel like I should have the success I did when I was younger. So I sabotaged all that shit. Subconsciously, I wasn't aware of it, right? I drank too much, I partied too much, and I did that several times. Sales in general, but for me personally, what I did is I worked full time. I also was chasing a dream to be a world champion, right? So I worked full time. I trained generally 2 to 4 hours a day, and I woke up at 4 a.m. and I hung up bandit signs, also called wholesaling real estate. Wholesaling real estate is one of the best businesses you can get into if you are not scared of hard work. If you're not scared of hard work. I got my first two deals off hanging a bandit sign, a We Buy Houses sign. I'll never forget it. No idea what I was doing. I just had spent $25,000 on a real estate course, me and an old partner of mine at the time. And we just kept learning. And then finally we realized coaching is great. Mentorship is great. But really what separates people that are unsuccessful and people that are successful is the successful people just take action. It's not the smarter people. It's not the more, I don't even know what to say really. It's not the most intelligent person. It's the person that works the hardest, the longest, that wins. Now, if you're intelligent and you work hard, yes, you have an advantage. But the biggest advantage you can have is discipline. Motivation comes and goes. Discipline is up to you. And personally, I like things that are in my control. If I wait for motivation, it's very rarely that I'm motivated to do all the things I have to do. So if you're looking for a side hustle, man, get into real estate. Wholesaling real estate is the most beautiful business. So I hung up those bandit signs. The first one, it was a $15,000 wholesale deal, meaning I got the property under contract. We then found somebody who bought and rehabbed houses, and then we assigned our contract, meaning we said, hey, if you give us $15,000, we'll give you the rights to this contract to buy this property at X price. The second one was a property that was for sale. They couldn't sell it, so they tried to rent it. We offered them what's also called a lease option or rent to own. We then assigned our position in that rent-to-own contract to a tenant buyer. There were 2 engineers. They had some bad credit because their daughter had cancer, and they decided to pay for their daughter's cancer treatment instead of paying their other bills. They're good people, a great income. And we assigned our contract in that lease option for $15,000. My first 2 real estate deals, I made $30,000. And since that point, I've wholesaled over 500 properties, not me personally, but my team, right? The team that I helped build. We have done upwards of $180+ million in real estate transactions and over $5 million in profit. And it all started with action. With action. Getting out there and taking massive action. You will never figure out everything that could happen. You just have to take action. And then when you run into a problem, you don't focus on the problem, you seek solutions. And what you focus on, you find. So if you're so focused on the problem, guess what? That problem is going to magnify, right? And what magnifies, you then find more of. You're just going to find more and more problems. You're going to find more and more reasons why not to take action. So when you run into problems, shift, reframe. What are potential solutions? That's what we did. The first deal, do you think we started out, we were supposed to make $15,000? No. We signed the contract for too much. We didn't know what we were doing. So guess what? The solution was we could walk away and say, this sucks, it doesn't work. Or I could stumble my way through a renegotiation with the seller, which took an hour and it should have taken 5 minutes. But guess what? I got on the phone, I made the phone call, I was scared to death. But I did it anyways. Because I had so much drive, so much ambition, a dream that I was just meant for more. That I was meant for more. That I was meant to make a contribution, that I was meant to give back, that I was meant to help those that struggled with the things that I struggle with in my life. I don't know how many times I've had to start over. That wholesaling real estate business I told you I helped build, right? I'd gotten out of rehab it was 10 years ago, so 2015, 2016, okay? I was looking at a property, called a buddy of mine I went to school with. Long story short, I started a wholesaling business with him. Reality is, he owned the LLC. I helped build the business that I didn't know. Long story short, 4 years later, right? Started at $2,000 a month. That $2,000 turned into $10,000. That $10,000 turned into $20,000. That $20,000 turned into $50,000, and then finally that $50,000 turned into $100,000+ a month. At that point, I destroyed my life, right? I walked away from that partnership. I got strung out again on drugs and alcohol, and for the next 2 years, I destroyed everything in my life. My business, I lost all my money, my retirement, my savings, everything, my home. I was spiritually bankrupt. I was mentally bankrupt. I was physically bankrupt. But eventually I just decided one day enough was enough and I had to change. So I made a commitment for 24 hours not to drink or do drugs. And 3 years later, I've repeated the same success pattern in a completely different industry, right? Helping rebuild an insurance agency. We started with 6 different agents selling maybe 10 policies a day. Today we have roughly 80 different insurance agents. We're selling around 160 to 200 policies a day, right? We're bringing in $100,000 to $150,000 a day in profit. And those mistakes that I made have brought me so much wisdom. And looking back, right, it was horrific. It was horrific in the moment. I've put a loaded gun in my mouth with my finger on the trigger. Thank God my mom didn't text me when I text her, right? That's an interesting story for a different day. I've had a loaded gun stuck in my chest. Somebody was going to kill me, right? So I feel like I'm here for a reason. And that reason, one, is to share the message of hope. Second is to continually try to become the best version of myself, right? So that I can give back to others. My number one driver when I was younger was significance because I never felt good enough. Today, it's just contribution, right? I think as Jim Rohn says, if you help enough people get what they want, you can have everything you want. And I am on a mission to help people become the best version of themselves in 4 specific areas. Your mind, right? Your body, your spirit, and your wealth, your money. And when it comes to your mind, that's your focus, that's your discipline, that's your mindset. When it comes to your body, right, that's physically. A broken body will lead to a broken mind, and vice versa. And then when it comes to the spiritual side, I'm not necessarily talking about God or the universe. I personally believe in God, something greater than myself, but it's being in alignment, right? It's following through with what you say you're going to do. It's becoming the best version of yourself. It's living with purpose. That's what like spirit is to me, being in alignment. And then the 4th is wealth, right? Is money gives you freedom. Money gives you freedom to take a deep breath. Money gives you freedom to give back. Money gives you the ability to change your family tree. Money just gives you the ability to help so many people. Some people say money is the root of all evil. The reality is money just shows your true character. So if you're a super douche and you get a bunch of money, guess what? You're going to be a super douche on steroids. That's reality, right? You're just going to show more of who you are. If you're interested in taking this journey with me, right? Or not really with me, I'm well into the journey. But if you want to take the shortcuts, if you want to not have to repeat the mistakes that I made, if you just want the lessons from 2 decades of mistake after mistake, success, mistake, success, then follow for more, right? I'm going to be focused on those 4 key areas: mind, body, spirit, and wealth. There's a lot that goes into that.